What's up guys, it's Bucky here and welcome to your 39th JavaScript tutorial. And in the last tutorial I taught you guys how to access and differentiate between different forms on your web page. But now in this tutorial, since we already have access to each form, I'm going to show you how to access each element in those forms. So let's go ahead and create a form, but I didn't want to keep the old one from last time because I want to make it a little bit different. So as we know from our XHTML tutorials, hopefully you watch those, each form can have a property called name. And I'm just going to set this form equal to Bucky's form. Simple enough. So now if we go ahead and end it, we can begin adding our elements. So let's, just like before, add a username, a password, and a submit button. So the username, all we need to do is, just like last time, we'll just make an input box. So input type equals text, and let's go ahead and add a name to this too. So name equals user's name. Simple enough. So now if you just go ahead and we won't copy it. So for the password box, it would be input type equals, might as well make it password. I think I made it text in the last tutorial, but that's definitely not secure. So the name equals password. Simple enough. So let me just go ahead and test this right now. Hello, didn't want to look, I got Yahoo. Son of a beach. Launching Chrome. There we go. So now we got a password box and a text box working perfectly. So I might as well add a submit button. I mean, why not? Input type equals submit, value equals submit. Now let's go ahead and save it and refresh again and check it out. We got a perfectly working form, a username, secret password, and a submit button that does nothing at all. Pretty cool, huh? So like I said, in order to access our form itself, let's say we want to set it equal to a variable. We would first write document, since the forms array is an object of the document. So then we would write forms, and since this is our first form on our web page, we would go ahead and identify it by 0, since everything in arrays start at 0. So after that, I told you guys that there is a way to access each element. So for example, if we wanted to access the first element right here, the forms array has a property already built in, and that's the elements array. So elements 0 would give you access to the first element in your form. Elements 1 would give you access to this, and elements 2 would give you access to this. And you're saying, alright, why do I even want access to it, and what's the use of it? What am I going to do with it? Well, typically people want access to, let's say they wanted to verify that the username only consisted of letters and numbers. So when a user logs in your webpage, you don't want them to enter Bucky $, percentage sign, at sign, semicolon, semicolon. You want like Bucky 65, Bucky 1492. So this is why you would want access to each element. So for now, since we're not validating any data, all we're going to do with this element is get a property of it, and that's the name. And again, your form has a name called Bucky's form, and each element has a name. This one is username, this one is password, this one we didn't give a name. So now the name of username, since this is the first element in form 0, is going to be equal to the value username. X equals username. So now we just go ahead and document, write this, and if we print out X on the screen and save it and launch in Chrome, check it out. It says username right there. So one more quick example, if we go ahead and access the second one by typing form 0, since it's the first form, second element, and go ahead and save this, and then we go ahead and launch this in Chrome, it says password right there. Pretty cool, huh? So you're saying, alright, simple enough. Whenever I want to access a form, I just write form, whatever number it is, and then whenever I want to access an element, I write element, whatever number it is in the array. But all these arrays are getting pretty confusing, Bucky. Is there something easier that I can do? Yes, there is. Instead of worrying about arrays, you have a different option of accessing your forms and also your elements. Instead of using the forms array, you can just go ahead and use the name of the form itself. And this I think I got a kennel cough. So anyways, let's just go ahead and copy the name of a form, which is Bucky's form, and instead of form 0, we're just going to go ahead and put Bucky's form in it just like that. So just to verify that it's working so far, let's go ahead and run launching Chrome and check it out. We still get password. Pretty cool. So now we know that we can use the form name instead of using that dumb forms array. A whole lot more simple, or a whole lot simpler. What is it? I don't know. I'll let you decide. So now what we can do is we can treat elements the same array. The same array. Oh, I cracked myself up. The same way. If an element has a name, we no longer have to use that dumb old elements array. We can just go ahead and use the name of it, which is user's name in this case. So let's go ahead and paste this in. And of course, if we're writing code where we wanted to print out the name of an element, I mean the name's right here, so it's going to print out username. Kind of redundant, but anyways, this is just an example. So let's go ahead and launch this in Chrome, and we see in fact we can access that element using the name instead of the array. So anyways, probably printing out the name wasn't the best example, but hey, I did it anyway. So what I want to stress to you guys in this tutorial is in order to access each individual element in the forms array, we can either use the element array, simple enough, element and then the name of whatever element you want to use, or excuse me, the number of whatever element you want to use, or if it has a name, we can use that as well. So for example, we use Bucky's form right there and username right there, and it worked fine. So with those two things, we now have knowledge of how to access any item in our forms. Any item in any form on our web page. Pretty cool, huh? So now that we have access to them, we can begin doing things like validating the data, make sure they're filling, checking whether or not a checkbox is checked, checking whether a radio box is checked, simple stuff like that. So that's what I'm probably going to be covering in the next tutorial, but for now, that's all I have for you guys. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.